Namaste, what's happening, guys? We just finished doing some punches in the water, and we want to talk to you guys today about the idea of chaos is opportunity.
Right.
Now, Sun Tzu said that where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And in the art of war, there's a very orthodox and unorthodox style of fighting.
Sure.
Unorthodox would be like deception or maneuvers or manipulation tactics.
Right.
And orthodox would be more so just general fighting, getting the action done,
Right.
drilling.
Right.
How would you say for people who are scared of the chaos or they're in avoidance mode, how would you say they can get more into that opportunity mode from the chaos?
Well, it depends one on the context. What is it, right?
Yeah.
Is it a fight? Is it a thesis, etc.? There's a difference between avoiding conflict and actively choosing an action. And actively choosing an action means you're aiming to reveal the opponent's hand.
You see their deck of cards.
I want to deliberately put myself in a position to see what he's doing.
Also, what path he's moving in, so you can
Yeah.
maneuver that, right?
Yeah. Like for instance, when you saw me wrestle Joey,
Yeah.
everybody knows from the get-go, I'm gonna go for
Leg
the
locks.
leg locks.
Only leg locks. Right? It's like the leg lock master.
Well,
Yeah.
somewhat. Knowing that he has a good wrestling background,
Yeah.
I might as well sit on my ass. So that's like an
Yeah.
idea of deceptive combat. The whole idea of fighting is to shut down your opponent's game. To an extent that they can't really do much other than play your game. So it's like vice versa. The deception forces them to play your game, and the
Yeah.
more offensive, whatever you call it, orthodox is to play your game. So if you have both, this is like a very strong chances you will win. As you saw
Yeah.
with me when we sparred.
Yeah.
At some point I saw, okay, you don't really know how to defend certain positions. So what will I do? I'll
We'll
force you
take
in.
advantage of those positions that I can't get into in a sense.
Exactly.
Usually, right? So yeah, like chaos is such an interesting concept because it's absolutely, it's like understanding there is remarkable things you can do
Uh-huh.
with your movements and also kind of basic like tactical maneuvers,
Sure.
right? And I think for a lot of people, they only focus on one aspect of fighting instead of looking at the whole picture of it
I
and
see.
giving themselves like a panoramic
So here's some
sense
homework.
of it.
And for the next half a year, lose every fight.
Yeah.
Lose every fight.
It's almost like, the same concept applies to dating. It's like go out of your way to get rejected.
Yeah, because
You know what I mean?
at some
And
point,
you remove the pressure on yourself.
exactly, it's their expectation or your expectation to win.
Yeah.
And from that idea, what happens is you practice attachment on attachment, whatever the fuck is called in flow state.
Action is also knowing when not to act as well. So in a sense
Yeah, but
of,
it comes to,
moving with the
like,
movements.
for an instance, in the video, there was a moment I chose an action, right, when I took your back. And because I saw, okay, the rear naked choke isn't working, let me try something else or see what he does. So there's a moment where I'm just observing the opponent. And as you try to turn to your side, I figured, oh, perfect, I'm gonna try to mount you. Which sounds wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like wrestling terms. Wrestling mirrors life in a lot of ways. I can, if I choose to avoid the conflict, I better be able to trick him into something so that I can face him from an advantage. There's still going to be an energy of conflict either way, because
Yeah.
you get surprised, I want to fight, you're gonna resist or defend yourself
Yeah.
and come with your own counters, and it's going to be this infinite loop until someone either taps, something breaks, or we both get tired or the time's up.
So the fighting itself, would you say, is the chaos that you're in?
Yeah, no shit.
And the opportunity is just the next movement.
It's the same thing as sex. So how the fuck am I supposed to know which position she likes? You talk about
You
it.
talk about it, you communicate. Yeah, isn't fighting also communication?
Yeah, but a little bit more violent end. You know what I mean?
Violent communication, yeah.
Like for instance, we could like spar right now, right?
Mhm.
First thing I notice, I can't move my legs that well, so kicks
Yeah.
are out of it.
Right.
Secondly, I can't really wrestle here because one of us is going to drown.
Drown, yeah.
So who has the advantage? You in this case, because you're the better boxer, right? The only
Right.
thing I could do is like keep you away with
Keep
legs.
with your legs, yeah.
That
kick
just
it
push
away.
you away, right? And
Yeah.
that just adds to the puzzle. What if the conflict is nothing more than the puzzle? And
Yeah.
the reason why you're avoiding it is you're kind of avoiding the emotions that come with it.
So seeing problems as a puzzle is a great strategic maneuver.
Well, that's one. That's step one. Remember,
Yeah.
I believe Asmodeus made the comment like women aren't puzzles; they're human beings.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're. It's that the
Yeah.
activity becomes.
It's not
the-
like a one-trick maneuver and she takes off her bra. It's like, you know, it's like
Did you
it's
know- did you
slow build up that
Well,
gets
the
towards
bro
it.
is supposedly self-trust me because till this day I haven't. But I guess my biggest.
Really?
Yeah, that's tough for me.
What?
I'm I mean, just
Nah,
could just do it
I
for
got
me,
so
you know?
good at that. I just like at one point this girl was like, "Whoa, where, where to go?" You know?
PGA team, guys, PGA team.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
R-rated and stuff.
we put disclaimers, bro, on every video. So
Okay,
it's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
So, this was an example of conflict, control, resolution. I feel a bit insecure about pulling off roles. So what
Yeah.
do? And I know myself, know that is very important. And I know, okay, for me, it works to just talk about it and get over it. And from the moment I feel this anxiety, I just said, hey, I feel a bit anxious about this topic. The idea sounds kind of weak and gay, but here's the thing: if it works, it works.
Thinking about is just this concept of being able to use the momentum of the actual fight.
Right.
You know? And a lot of the times we can stack movements. Like for instance, when we were like rolling on the floor, it was just like I was just basically looking for your leg, looking for your arm, looking for like
Right.
different things
Right,
that I would.
but you're not well practiced
Yeah,
yet.
but I'm not. Like that was kind of like my first time sparring in a sense.
To me, has never sport live. I sport live at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Having like 20 minutes back-to-back rounds of just going at it.
Yeah.
And what you'll get is your conditioning towards high stress situations will matter. Because I've been beaten by small people. I've been beaten by very tall mass monsters.
Yeah, and the Netherlands are hella tall, huh?
Yeah, it's unfair. Disclaimer, fuck you tall people. Here's where the whole combination of orthodox, unorthodox fighting comes into play. Because here's the thing, with you, I went very orthodox, like very traditional,
Yeah.
right? Whereas with someone that's bigger than me, the rule book's out the window.
Yeah.
It's no more textbook shit.
There's a level of me that wants to improvise because I'm so tapped into the flow state. Where there's one aspect of it that's a mental game,
Sure,
and there's one aspect of it a physical game.
sure.
What about the spiritual game? How does fighting relate to spirituality?
I got an answer for that. So, one aspect of fighting is to which extent are you willing to not be attached to winning, losing, or whatever scenario?
Yeah.
What if the spirituality is in the art itself? Like, what is your truest expression in the then and there moment?
Right.
Win or lose?
Like you can't, you're not trying to be good with women. You're trying to be good with yourself. Right?
Well, it's always about yourself.
Yeah.
It never changed.
Self-love, self-esteem, all coming back to the self.
Well, how else would you test self-love but putting yourself in a situation where your self-love gets
it's tested, yeah.
So-
Going through the motions as well, just like allowing the mind to go to the next
Well, it's-
movement.
I would almost
like how
say-
we were doing the punches.
Well, in this case, it's going through the motions in some sense.
But also you're keeping count, so it's like another.
Well,
aspect.
it's multiple meditation techniques in one go because
Yeah.
you're taking count. I'm also focusing on technique because I want to focus through the positions.
Also
because it's like-
breathing, right? Like for instance, a lot of boxers they
Yeah, of
let out
course.
that sound in order for them to
Like
escape
here's where
that.
spirituality comes into play in the form of bioenergetics because the breath work has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Be sure to have the technique down. Don't injure yourself, be smart about it. Like, I will always be, or usually, especially in Europe, I'll be the smaller dude. I'm like 5'7" at max, right? And I'm gonna be the lightest usually. But that doesn't mean I cannot wrestle with a heavyweight. It just means I'm going to wrestle with a heavyweight. And if I make any mistake, he's going to capitalize on it. Which means I need to be at my S game at all times, right?
You're using your body weight against the opponent.
Against the opponent.
And you're predicting the opponent's next movement.
Well, roughly.
So I
roughly.
think that psychic intuition also comes down to it.
I cannot control how a person enters the gym. I cannot control how he leaves the gym. I can definitely not control how he spars with me. What I can control is what I do and how he responds to it. Because certain moves will cause a reaction. It's like a chess
Yeah.
game. And
It's
here's where
also like-
stoicism comes into play because I want to have the least amount of suffering. So that means certain things that causes suffering within me need to be handled already, like my mind. That's the first part of where suffering tends to go. Can I quiet my mind down to such an extent that I can allow it to be free?
What's going to stop you is resisting the emotion in the moment as well, like,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Well,
I've heard this from a lot of my clients, right? So basically, like, the paradox of surrender is that you have to let go of control in order to gain control back of your life.
yeah.
Like, a lot of the times, people are afraid of that because they feel like when I get into my emotions, I'll be out of control and I'll start to suffer as a result of it.
Right.
So
And
when
have you noticed that when you tried to twist me around, I gave away position to take position? And so this idea is everywhere. Surrendering isn't necessarily giving up. It is, how would you say this? Almost observing.
letting go of the outcome, would you say?
Well, that plus more because you're also observing what happens to you as a being.
Yeah, there is that Shoshin mindset that does play into it.
What is the
beginner's
Shoshin mindset?
In the martial arts, like Bushido code, they talk about the idea of Shoshin, which is basically beginner's mind.
Right.
And beginner's mind is where you completely empty the cup, and
Right.
by emptying the cup, you empty your expectation of what's going to happen. So you allow yourself to learn better.
Right.
But if you're like, oh, I know everything, you
Nah,
won't have an
nah,
opportunity to ever
nah.
learn.
Here's the thing, I've been beaten by new people, I've been beaten by small chicks, I've been beaten by almost everybody.
Yeah, that's a real ego check. It's like
you
an
will
ego
be
death.
ego checked in wrestling so hard.
So much.
Like
yeah.
so hard. Like I've been in my coach a few
Like
times.
my trainer is like basically such a smaller size than me, but he can like lift me up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of intimidating.
It's part of the game. That's why I
Yeah.
recommend all mystics to go wrestle. Like literally just
This
go
is-
wrestle.
We're calling you out.
We're calling you
mystics.
like down and dirty shaman.
Okay.
Like the dude lives in a hut, he is
Yeah.
primal as fuck. That's what wrestling is.
Yeah.
It is like no bullshit, all science, like body mechanics.
Right.
Like it will make you tap in. And
Yeah.
here's starting the challenge for you on two different levels. How can you apply your spirituality to beat them? And how can you, and to what extent are you willing to learn the game so that you can beat them? Mentals.
You know, one thing that I've found as I'm fighting is in the beginning I was not being aggressive with my movements at all. And the reason was I hadn't drilled enough.
Yeah.
So once you keep drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling, the aggressiveness just kicks off.
It's all
in a
about,
sense.
it's all about
second
being-
nature.
Well, it's a combination between mind, body, and soul, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're so confident in that one move that once you activate it, like you snap the shit out of it. It's like the Conor McGregor left punch.
Yeah.
Once if it connects, it's over.
It's over. Game over.
It's over. It's that Khabib, smash. Like
Yeah.
if he has like the bar
Smash.
like that,
Yeah.
like smash.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
He's gonna maul you. And listen, it doesn't really matter what flavor. It's more about the principles behind it. Like me as a mystic, what I decided to do especially is to, let's start with the first thing that gets in the way, getting tired.
Yeah.
So what I need is either a better body, better lungs, know how to apply breathwork, right? So instead I decided to, okay, let's remove myself from the situation first
Yeah.
and go for jogging.
Right.
It's
also something that I learned that was very important is active recovery. So not like completely like crashing on the floor like that's gonna make you tire out really fast because you're basically giving up. You want to be doing, keep yourself bouncing on your toes. Yeah.
It's easier to
Not too much, not too less.
Well, it's kind of like
Heart
a
rate
car, right? If you
variability.
ever notice,
Yeah.
for our car dudes out there, it is easier to go from a higher frequency to a lower frequency instead of from lower frequency to higher.
Yeah.
But of course, you're not supposed to wear yourself out.
Also, when we were riding ATVs, I understood that sometimes when I got stuck in the mud, I was like, oh, I need to reverse and then go again.
Yeah,
so
it's the
you
same
can basically 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
Well, one
or-
massive step forward.
Yeah.
It's like the
It's like the
pop-up
cha-cha.
and then smash.
After a while, you start to get reflexes for it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen you catch like knives and like different things falling off the table or like.
Yeah, accidentally. I'm not even
Accidentally.
showing off. It's just happening.
It just happens in the moment. I'm like, what the fuck, Spidey
and,
sense.
and I'm completely
you know?
unattached to it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just is.
Mm.
Like for instance, now that we have like a decent amount of psychic powers to whatever extent, right?
Yeah.
Especially like the rituals and stuff with all the fucking ghosts we have in the neighborhood.
Yep.
It's a bunch of freaks and perverts. keeping calm. Anyway, you'll get to learn that spirituality does have a place in survival, the material world. Because, for instance, breathwork is a perfect example of spirituality. Like the DMT
Altering your
breathwork.
state.
So, in order to tap into my body way more, the DMT breathwork works.
Yeah.
If I need more oxygen, I tend to use Wim Hof more. But the DMT is like, and a shaman is. I don't really know what a shaman is about, but it feels like.
There's also the one where you take it in, and then you.
So I use that when I need more strength in the moment.
I see.
So one is to open up my lungs, that's a DMT, and then to check in my body, and the Wim Hof is to make sure all the CO2 is out of my body.
Right. By the way, guys, today was the first day of our event. We just did 2 lectures, and something interesting that you brought up was the idea of how the mind being free, the body. Did you explain that? Yeah.
So this came again from wrestling, right? Because I'm not just a flow state student, I'm a very active flow state practitioner. And what I've noticed with BJJ flow grappling is that at some point it's gonna get serious, and I must never be attached to it. So the only way I can practice non-attachment is in what ways can I set myself free. So if the end goal is to set my soul free, basically being my most authentic self, blah blah blah.
Most congruent.
What's the first thing before that? I need to focus on body mechanics.
Do you have mantras in your mind as you're fighting?
Well, yeah, because
That's
it's usually
that's a unique process. I haven't tried that before. That sounds like it would be very effective.
well,
Especially like Hanuman or something like that.
so that would be
Tapping
from,
into
right?
strength.
Because I've already lost that fight. Because he's dominated, right? And it's
Yeah.
like these sort of games I like to play just to, you know, make it more playful. But that's me. Humor and playfulness go hand in hand, right?
Right. I would be more so reframing the fight into something that would be suitable towards the moment. So, in a sense of like the scene that is being played out in my mind, the
Right.
storyline, because the mind is the storyteller.
Yeah.
And so I basically got to change the story. Let's say I'm losing. It's like, no, I'm not losing. I'm winning in transit. Almost like it's like changing the frame, right? It's like one frame to another frame.
True. Now, this is all theory, right? What I want you to do is put it all into practice yourself. Now, we are pragmatic mystics, which means everything has to be placed in the right context and then applied. It's the same with pickup, it's the same with relationships, it's the same with business, it's definitely the same with a fight. 99% of men don't know really how to fight. And that's
Sad,
me
but true.
included. And that's me included.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, you will never be prepared for an ultra-violent man or woman. I don't know how to defend myself against a knife, do you? So that's why I appreciate guys like
I
Tony.
love the Silat style of fighting with knives.
Yeah, we're in
and,
the
you know,
right place for
yeah,
that. And that's why,
for
you
sure.
know, even though everybody's smaller than me, I know if they had a knife, they'll probably
It
fuck
almost looks like a dance the way they fucking move their like.
Well,
you know,
here's the
elbows.
thing, right? Here's where I cannot argue against or argue for it because one, I have not experienced it, and I believe high conflict situations, you know, will feel a
They
lot
test
of.
your character basically.
They test your character, and this is kind of an IFC datum, right?
Yeah.
Even if I've lost everything, my money, my psychic powers, blah blah blah, the business, what do I have left? The only thing I have left is my character. So
Right.
really what Primal Sutra is about as well is like practicing those theorems, those datums, those IMC datums, and applying it into the mystic world, because we have seen a lot of, you know, like close, like quote unquote close friends go so dark that it just becomes evil at some point, like so unethical that I'm like, why would you? Like, to give an example, like the love rituals that we do, it went from initially being very resistant to it because we did not want to hijack anyone's mind, because that shit is unethical as fuck. And if I find out you do it and I know you, I'm gonna ankle lock the shit off you. You know that, right? Anyway, so like to give an example of how Primal Sutra does, you know, love magic different. It is never about the woman or man. It's first about you, because you as the
It
product.
starts with the self-love and then it goes into the other love. Yeah,
Exactly,
for sure.
because
That's what
what
anything is.
sense does it make if you don't even love yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gonna be toxic, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. Like, toxic love, as fun as it may be, and I've been there,
It's not sustainable.
it's not sustainable. It's gonna destroy you, fam. And at some point, right, you have to realize that if you want to build a relationship with this woman, even if it's like a fuck buddy, lover, or girlfriend wifey situation,
Yeah.
it's better to heal bonds.
So about like your standards and how they evolve over time through learning from your
Right.
relationships. you
Like,
know?
like even with those girls from last night, right?
Yeah.
They've chosen the life they've just chosen, but that doesn't mean I have to treat them like trash,
Right.
right? They
Yeah.
want to have fun, we want to have fun, etc., etc., etc.
Mhm.
As a mystery, right? You can decide what path you want to go. If you want to be an evil bastard, be my guest, just know that I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, even if I beat you and Joey, did I hurt you? Nah.
Not really. I felt like you at one point like cracked a nut.
Well,
a
that
nut
was a
on
bit
my head.
accidental.
That was yeah,
I,
yeah.
Like I heard the crack, like, oh shit, I fucked up my friend. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like he's like a bit of a character with wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Although I want to win, I don't necessarily want to injure you. Hurting kind of because I like being a dick. Or I like wearing you out, but I don't.
You
really...
kind of need a little bit of that villainous quality though.
Well,
when you're
yeah,
fighting,
because
you know?
here's the thing I've learned about wrestling, right? And with pickup, and with relationship, and with business, it is fun to be the villain. It is fun to be a heel. It is so much fun to win for me right now that I literally act like I've come such a mind. Like it's. I remember like having almost a moment of massacre when I beat 3 opponents back to back to back. And I really like lift myself up and smash the ground, and boom, and yell, woo, you know?
Yeah.
And then the coach says, okay, anyone who beats Ryan gets $10 from you. And everyone's like, oh, for fuck's sakes, right?
Yeah.
And and I just have to laugh at it because I caused this bullshit to happen to me, right?
Love that quote that's like, you know, the hero sacrifices the world to save sacrifice himself to save the world, and the villain sacrifices the world to save you.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, there are many ways to take that because I'm sacrificing my own paradigm for a better one.
Also, heroes can take breaks, and villains can.
Oh, they can take infinite breaks. That's
Infinite
why we
breaks.
love the
Scheming, plotting, you know, thinking.
But here's the thing, just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It's
Right.
kind of that.
I mean, we're all kind-hearted individuals internally. You know what I mean?
I mean, we're
Like,
assholes, but we're not assholes. We're
Right.
not actually trying to hurt anybody. It's more or less we're sick and tired of some things and we're trying to cause disruptions.
you learn by just putting yourself through the fire like that. I didn't even think that I would fight you, like, you know, at that level. But
Listen, here's the thing, right, about sparring and actual fighting. I hope I never have to. Because you can never be ready. I hope I never have to use my spirituality to go on the offense. Because here's the thing, in wrestling you will be facing a lot of tough opponents. And it's not just, you know, not being attached to win or lose, but actually trying to survive until you find an opportunity to win. It's the idea of the playful stoic in the sense that I take serious, you know, the process, and I want to have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
Yet I want to have so much fun that at some point I don't really care about the achievement. I just want to have more fun.
I think a lot of people, they become opposed to violence. The violence is actually like in our genetic code. You know, in a sense.
Like,
For
are you gonna
ages and
deny
years.
that?
Are you gonna suppress that, deny that?
Because
you know?
that becomes a shadow as well.
Yep.
And what happens with shadows? They pop up in
An unhealthy way. It's like
in
trying to
a
put a
very-
bouncy ball in a swimming pool. It's gonna poof, pop
Like-
up in a random
like-
moment.
Like ever since I'm Age, right? How has our spiritual powers not grown, right? Because we
Yeah.
started to realize like health is probably the first pillar of magic. A mystic like Miracle J who said, fuck that shit, crippled or not, I'ma be lifting weights. He became a 2-time American public speaking champion. I mean, I talk well, but I don't have those kind of accolades. So shout out to Miracle J, the pimp, the player, the one and only.
Gotta give shout out to the brothers when credit is due. Yeah.
How much time do you have left?
Dude, we've gone for a while, so I think
Okay,
we
yeah.
should end it. All right, guys, thank you so much. Tap in today.
May the flow
Let's
be
get it.
with you and shit.
Yep. May we never be the same again. Let's go.